Hi, it's Sarah again from Roses Little Posies. It is Thursday night and I am deep into wedding prep for 2 weddings this weekend. And as I was looking at the flowers I was working with, I quickly realized that I am probably working with the most annoying bunch of flowers that I can possibly pick out for weddings with people. So I wanted to take you a minute to show you just some of the things that go into prepping for a wedding. And let me show you what makes these flowers so unique and so obnoxious. Um, so flowers all get processed in different ways depending on what their needs are and what I'm using them for. And in front of me here, I have calla lilies. I have stock, smells amazing. I have a Juliet garden rose. I have Tweedia that I also call spawn of Satan because, you'll see why. I have ranunculus. I have nigella. And I have a blue hydrangea. And what makes these flowers difficult to work with, let's start with a calla lily. We did these in my last video. These came in the wrong color. So I had to take the finger of a latex glove, slip it over the stamen on the inside of this flower, take my spray paint, spray this flower to turn it peach. And then I had to wait till it dried, take a pair of tweezers, pull my little finger off, and then now I have a beautiful peach calla lily. It goes with the wedding that has the peach ranunculus, which is right here, and the peach Juliet roses. And they're going to look beautiful together. They also go with this white stock and they go with the blue Tweedia. So it's a beautiful peach, white, and blue wedding. So that's what makes the calla lilies difficult sometimes. The other thing that I'll have a problem with is these stems are incredibly delicate. So every time I handle calla lilies, the stems usually go into my hand in my bouquet first as I'm putting things together. Because if I try to force these into a bouquet in my hand where there's already a lot of stems, I'm liable to break this. So these are kind of fragile. Once you break it, there's not really going back, and this is like a $3 flower. So we try not to do that. Next up we have a ranunculus, and I think I've done a video on these before. I'm going to reach over and grab my snips here. And my wire. And you'll notice that this guy is curved. And I would like him to stand up straight. So for this, I've cut it off at a good place for the length of bouquet. The stems are hollow. And I have a piece of wire here. I'm going to see how long the piece of wire needs to be before it hits the top of the head of the flower. I'm going to cut. And then I'm going to feed this wire carefully up through my stem. And I can feel as it goes past, I call them knuckles in the flower, where there's kind of like a division in the stem, because I don't want to poke through the side of the stem. So that went through, and I'm feeding this wire down into the ranunculus stem. And eventually I can see how much wire I have left. That means I'm about right here in the flower. Eventually I'm going to get up to this curve. I have to go really slow, and I'm going to slowly straighten out that curve while pushing down on the end of my wire, so that I don't puncture the stem, until the wire goes up to the head of the ranunculus. And now I have a straight stem. This is going to work better in my bouquet. So now this flower is ready. You have a Juliet rose. These aren't really that annoying, other than they tend to have a lot more thorns on their stems. This one is already pretty processed. Usually for these, you just have to take off a few petals on the outside. They can bruise easily sometimes. They're also twice as expensive as regular roses, but they're absolutely gorgeous when they open. When this opens, it looks almost like a peony. It has like a spiral shape on the inside, and they are simply special. So this one isn't quite open yet, but by the time this goes outside in the heat on someone's wedding day, it's going to open right up and be gorgeous. So not much to do with this guy. He just has a lot of thorns. I've already taken the thorns off. I I cut them so that they're not entirely off because I don't want to leave open wounds on the side of the flower for bacteria to get in. They're just cut down so that they're not sharp. Stock is incredibly fragile. These pieces on the bottom tend to wilt or die first. So for this one, this looked like a really nice healthy stem. I didn't have to clean any off the bottom here. But again, this is another stem where I need to be very careful when putting it in my bouquet because this tip tends to like to break right here. And it's very easy to break the stem down here. So you have to kind of treat these carefully. Tweedia. Tweedia, when you cut this, it leaks out a milky sap, kind of like a milkweed plant. It's toxic. It leaks out that sap from every single set of leaves all the way down. And then if you put this in with other flowers, that sap will kill them. So I have to take a lighter, and I think I actually left mine somewhere else right now because I already finished processing these. Took off all the leaves very gently because they're a bit fragile. Checked the top to make sure there were no bad flowers on top. Took off all these, and then I lit the end of this on fire. And that way it's not going to leak sap. So, Tweedia, it's one of the few blue flowers that you can get. So I end up using it a lot for blue weddings. It's a very lovely pale shade. Super cute. Small clusters of blue flowers. Really annoying to process. Same thing with Nigella. Nigella is a spring flower. It is also another one of the few blue flowers that you can get. It is a lovely pastel blue. So it goes great with this hydrangea. And it goes well with the Tweedia as well. And the only thing you have to do with this guy is they tend to come in, they look a little bit weedy sometimes. You can use the smaller pieces in like boutonnieres, corsages, but when you make a handheld bouquet, for the most part, the only part of this flower that you need is the top. So I have to take all of the side pieces off and then strip down until all I have left is this. So this one flower that costs probably $1.50 or so for my cost, that's what it goes down to. It's pretty small. So this is another one that works well in wildflower bouquets. People think that wildflower bouquets are cheaper. They're not, because these tiny little flowers, you have to put in twice as many of them to make that bouquet the same size because of their size. And then it's twice the cost for the stems. So this little guy is about $2, give or take. And then I have all of this waste where hopefully I will set these aside in what I call hydration chamber. It's basically my big plastic tub with wet paper towel in it. I will gather these up and I will put them in there to soak up moisture. And then I'll probably put these around their centerpieces on Saturday so that they'll have some blue in their centerpieces. Not a whole lot. It does okay out of water, especially when it's just a pod. The flowers tend to wilt a bit quicker. So these little pods, these buds that haven't opened yet, they never will open, but they will do okay out of water. So I'll set these aside and I'll save them for later. Hydrangeas, much more common to people. It's really big, so it can be a good way to save money on your arrangements. However, it does take up a lot of space in your bouquet, so I can usually only use maybe 3 of them. And one of the things I have to do is go down to the branching part, and I will remove some of these pieces to make this about half the size. Or, as I work with it, I will take flowers and I will thread them through the center of that hydrangea to break it up visually too. And these two actually aren't going into the same wedding, but you get the point. I can thread flowers through this and use it kind of as a base. But these tend to wilt really easily. And every time I cut them, I have to take alum powder, which is actually in the baking section. It's used for pickling. And you dip your hydrangea in alum before you put it in water. And that actually keeps it from wilting. So if you ever want to cut them out in your yard, get some alum powder, and then when you cut your hydrangeas, dip it in this, and they're going to last a lot longer. So that's what I have going on tonight. All of these They take a little bit of extra time, but I can't wait to post some pictures. They're going to be absolutely gorgeous. One wedding is primarily blue and white, and the other one is the primarily peach, white with some blue. So lovely, lovely flowers. Somewhat annoying sometimes, but we love them anyway, don't we? Thanks for watching.